See, right now, why there is so much fear is the substance of your life is only in your clothes, your jewels, your education, a few people that you gathered around you. That's all the substance of your life is. All these things can be taken away from you any moment, isn't it? This is the only thing which is giving you solidity. Yes? That little bit of education, your clothes, your jewels, your bank balance, a few people around you, this is all that is giving you some sense of solidity of being a being. This is not a being, this is a patch-up job. So, with such petty blocks, when you build a building, naturally you should be very worried when it'll collapse. Now, instead of using a stone block for this column, if I use the twig, definitely I'll be always worried when it'll collapse on my head, isn't it? Isn't it so? That's your worry, that's your fear, because you're trying to build your life with twigs, not with solid material, not with reality, with illusory things. Always you will live in fear, there is no other way to live. There is simply… if you're living in a house which is supported by twigs, being afraid that it'll collapse on your head is very natural, isn't it? That's all that's happened to you. It's time you bring something more substantial into your life. If you bring something more substantial, then suddenly you find, if you sit here, everything is fine. Life or death, still it is fine. That's how it'll be.
Why is fear such a pervasive and persistent part of human life? What roots do these fears take hold in? And how do they grow, entangling themselves into our daily existence? Today, let us dive into the realm of fear. What are its causes? And most important of all, its solution. Fear, in its most primal form, is a survival mechanism. It is the body's alert system. It is a natural response to the perceived threat of harm, whether physical, emotional, or psychological. But when we peer deeper, we see that fear often arises not just from immediate threats, but from the anticipation of future dangers, real or imagined. It is the mind projecting into the future, conjuring up 1,000 possibilities, and none of which are in the here and now. The seeds of fear are sown by the mind's attachment to things, to outcomes, and to the ego itself. The mind clings to what is known, to certainty and security. It fears the loss of control, it fears the unknown, and it fears the unpredictable. And in this attachment, it builds the very shackles that bind us to fear. And what of the solution? How do we transcend this pervasive fear? The key lies in awareness. The key lies in becoming a witness to our fears. By observing our fears without attachment, we can understand them, and in understanding, we can begin to dissolve them. Remember, it is not about fighting or suppressing fear, but about understanding its nature, seeing it for what it truly is. It's nothing more than an illusion of the mind. Meditation is a profound tool in this quest. Through meditation, you can learn to live in the present moment, which is the only place where fear does not exist. Fear is always a phenomenon of the future. It is a shadow of the past. By grounding ourselves in the now, we can see the impermanence of all things, and In that vision, fear loses its grip. In this way, the path to overcoming fear is a journey inward. It is a voyage to the center of our being. It is about finding that space within us that is beyond fear, which is beyond the reach of the mind's projections. This is the space of our true nature, the divine conscious nature that is connected to all things, where the distinction between the self and the other dissolves. In this space, dear seekers, there is no room for fear because there is no other to fear. Let us then together take a courageous step forward on this journey. Imagine ourselves as explorers of the vast and often uncharted territories of our inner world. Picture the landscapes of the mind like the layers of the earth, each stratum holding different fossils of fears, past experiences, and forgotten traumas. To untangle these roots of fear, we must be willing to excavate, to dig deep with the gentle hands of awareness and bring these buried fears into the light of consciousness. And dear seekers, as we explore, we find that our fears are not monoliths but intricate networks, interconnected with our thoughts, experiences, and the narratives we tell ourselves. These narratives are often old tapes playing on loop, telling us that we are not enough, that we cannot survive the unknown, and that we are alone. But these are just stories, and stories can be rewritten. In the soil of our psyche, we can then begin to plant new seeds, the seeds of understanding, the seeds of compassion for ourselves, and the seeds of awareness. These seeds need the sunlight of our attention and the water of our intention to grow. And as they grow, they start to create a new landscape within us, a fertile ground where fear has no place to take root. This journey is not for the faint-hearted because it requires us to face ourselves completely. It requires us to confront not only the darkness of our fears, but also the light of our immense potential. It is not a quick journey. It is a pilgrimage of the soul. It is a lifelong quest for freedom. But it is a quest that is filled with moments of profound beauty, deep connection, and the joy of self-discovery. Ultimately, this journey can offer us the ultimate liberation, which is a state of being where fear is no longer the dictator of our actions or the jailer of our hearts. Instead, we find a state of freedom that is as expansive as the sky, unbounded and limitless. This is the freedom of the human spirit. It is the very essence of our being and the birthright of every individual. And remember, dear seekers, it is in this freedom that we find not just the absence of fear, but the presence of an abiding peace, a profound love, and an unshakable joy.